Today I'm in Gardaland. The last time I was here was April 22, so Jumanji was kind of just opened. Back then Jumanji was not on point, I will say, but afterwards things went even worse, so it started not working. At some point they even removed the animatronics, so there was a kind of a Hippo gate in Italy. Where is the Hippo? Apparently now it's back. So I wanted just to come back. It's mid-September, so we are out of peak season. Summer is over, schools are open, to see how the park is going and is coping. Keeping in mind that 2022 has been not the best season for Gardaland for different reasons. So Jumanji created lots of queues and it wasn't working properly. Then at some point, I Corsari, which is a pirate-themed dark ride, just crashed down and is currently closed, as you can see, and is not gonna open for this season for sure. Then they had lots of issues with HR, so they didn't have enough staff. The park was open until 11 p.m., but most of the attractions were closing down at 7 p.m. because they didn't have enough people to run them, so that created massive criticism, of course. And so, generally speaking, I wanted to see if what I didn't like in April has been fixed, if things went even worse, or what is going on in this park. Also worth mentioning that today is the second day of Oktoberfest, a typical Merlin event, so I want to see what they put together for Oktoberfest. And today it's Sunday, so the queues are embarrassing, but today I'm going to do most of footage and reporting, and then I'm coming back tomorrow, which is going to be Monday with the schools open, so I'm going to be basically on my own and I'm going to enjoy. Let's have a look how Gardaland is performing in September 22. So Gardaland is the first park in Italy. It's the biggest, it's the best, and it's a really complete park. Offers that goes from kids, where they go different areas, like the one after the Peppa Pig IP, which is a kind of cheap implementation, but with lots of nicely themed flat rides. Then there is a masterpiece, which is called the Fantasy Kingdom, in which there are lots of rides for kids, and also a Vekoma Madhouse, which is under the tree. An area which is so nice that has been replicated kind of identical also in Spain in Portaventura. Then there are lots of playground areas, there is a carousel, there are different flat rides all over the park, and another themed area, Kung Fu Panda, with Chinese theming, with a spinning coaster, a kiddie coaster, and other flat rides targeting kids. There is also a water park, which funnily enough is part of the park offering itself, and there is, as a separate attraction with a standalone ticket, a sea life as well. The park then keeps delivering also for families those kind of attractions that are good for everyone. There is I Corsari, which was the most expensive dark ride in the world when it opened. Unfortunately, currently is closed. And water rides. So there is a log flume, which is not particularly nice, but there are two water rides, Fuga d'Atlantide and Jungle Rapids, which, despite being kind of off-the-shelf water rides, have got such a masterpiece and beautiful theming, which I would say easily it's the best theming seen in Europe for water rides. Those are so immersive, they got an amazing soundtrack, they got a story. Unfortunately, those rides are coming from the era pre-Merlin, and I think they're still like the most impressive attractions in the park. It's just completely different from any other river rapids, for example, you're gonna find in Europe in terms of theming. This is so immersive, so nicely put together, it's even better than Europa Park. Then you got a family coaster, which is called Mammoth. Again, theming, it's out of this world, kind of Disney inspired and Disney level. Then there is Shaman, which is a super old Vekoma looping coaster. It used to have the VR, I think, just for one season, and now you can still see the movie in the station. Then there is a Vekoma SLC, Blue Tornado, super rough as usual, but still fun. Then Raptor, which was actually the first B&M wing coaster in the world, and it's here in Gardaland in Italy. Then there is Oblivion. So Oblivion, funnily enough, has got the same name of the one in Alton Towers. Has been built much later, and I think it kind of addresses the issue of the one of Alton Tower, because it's the track is much longer and has got inversion as well. And I think it's a really nice implementation of this concept, not too short as in Alton Towers, not too long and a bit confusing as the most recent implementation. I think this one, it's a good balance between the drop and the rest of the track. Then there is a drop tower, which is not particularly high. Other attractions, lots of attractions actually, all over the place, including also a 4D cinema, which is currently showing Aquaman and Wonder Woman movies. And then, of course, Jumanji. So Jumanji is the first attraction themed after the Jumanji IP in the world. And, of course, interesting because Jumanji is gonna come to Chessington World of Adventure as well. It's a dark ride. If you want, it's a kind of gangster granny on steroids. It's actually nice. The story, it works. There is a pre-show, and then there is a nice combination of physical animatronics and projections on screens. So this one is a nice ride, but I think the implementation is quite cheap and economic, despite Merlin declaring an investment of 20 million, which clearly are not there, because 20 million is how much Ride to Happiness costed. You can say, for example, from the queue line, the theming is nice, until you look up to the ceiling, where they clearly didn't have enough money to complete the theming, so it looks kind of unfinished. During my visit in April, already a few things were not properly working, and now as well there is not a perfect sync in between the movement and the scenes. For example, there is a part in which you should do a kind of a car crash with another vehicle, and it is never synced, so it's never happening. Generally speaking, I've done it just once, but there were some effects missing, and the whole ride didn't feel like 100% on point, which has been a problem during the whole 22 season for Jumanji. Another big problem of Jumanji are the queues, because you need to wait for 1 hour or 2 hours, and unfortunately Gardaland, instead of addressing the issue, just doubled the price of the fast track, which used to be €6 in April and is currently €10. And then, as I said, there was the Oktoberfest. This is like the typical Merlin event. In Italy, they didn't implement it yet, Carnival and Mardi Gras, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna get there at some point. What is happening in Oktoberfest in Gardaland? So, there is a pre-show before opening the park itself, which is themed after the Oktoberfest, and then there are decorations all over the park, which, to be honest with you, are much cheaper than the level of theming and decoration that Merlin is implementing in their UK parks. The key selling point is this refillable beer glass, which is quite cheap, because the first one, including the glass, is €7, and then the refill is just €4. And then you can buy a ticket to get 4 different beers together with snacks in different places of the park. There is also a stage they use for concerts and shows, but to be honest with you, it doesn't feel like the visitors are really bothered about watching them. Generally speaking, as you know, I'm a bit critic in terms of Merlin events, just because I think, especially in Gardaland, they are struggling already in keeping all the shops open, and they don't have enough staff. So unless you are in a position in which the park is fully working and perfect, I don't think it's clever to waste energy and time for events which, same as Mardi Gras in UK, I don't think they're adding a lot for the visitors. So if I were Merlin, I would focus more into the core business. So how is Gardaland top and flop? Well, Gardaland is a nice park. As said, it's a complete 360 degrees offering. There is something for everyone. Also, there are some amazing attractions which are from the pre-Merlin era and outstanding theming. Really, those two water rides are out of this world and probably still the best in Europe. The park itself is nice. There is a lot to do, and for thrill seekers or just for families, for kids. Also, the lineup, of course, is interesting. Probably an addition is needed, and in that case, I would suggest a Gerslauer launched coaster, especially because there is no coaster launched in Gardaland at all. So I said before, 22 season has been difficult. The park is struggling with operations, with recruitment, generally speaking, with queue management, and they put a lot of focus in selling fast tracks rather than sorting out the operations, to be honest with you. Also, some attractions are closed. This is not helping queues. And another thing that I didn't like is that the park is still opening different areas at different time rather than opening everything at the opening time of the park. So you will find lots of shops closed, lots of restaurants closed, and all like that. Also, in terms of keeping everything working, not there, screens are not working. These paint on the wall has been like that since April, or probably since 2016, we don't know. The tunnel at the entrance wasn't working, and also in Jumanji, the fountains and the music was not working when the park opened, and it took a while. Some silly things like there is a bulb broken, just fix it. I mean, so generally speaking, when you walk around the park, you feel like it's not really looked after, or there is not such a big attention to details, unfortunately. Another thing that I don't like of Merlin Parks is the quantity of sponsors all over the place. Some of them completely useless, like the fertilizer for the grass. Do we really need to know that? I don't think so. And also, Oktoberfest was actually an opportunity for them to add even more sponsors in the park. Say that, is it worth a visit? Of course it is. It's impossible to say no to Gardaland. But I really hope that the park is gonna find its own path and improve, because it's a pity to see a park which is part of the historical culture of Italy in this state. Also, be careful if you want to visit, because if you go on a busy day, it might turn into a complete nightmare. I have uploaded lots of videos for all the different attractions of Gardaland in the playlist, so go and check it out. And if you like this video, please subscribe.